Towels.
Towels. Talking towels.
Talking towels. For me, one of the original ones. Like, I remember that being one of the first things I worked on musically. Do you remember, for you, was it one of the original poems, or do you have any recollection of the genesis of Towels?
It wasn't one of the first ones that I wrote, but I remember the energy and the feeling behind writing it.
Oh, cool.
Which is actually, it's cool because it correlated with writing the book in the sense that, you know, it was still pretty early days writing the book. And Towels is all about getting ready to get into the ring creatively.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that moment before. And the metaphor is like of a boxer who's has that towel around her neck and just scoping the space, checking out the ring, thinking about what she's about to do, rolling Gatorade bottles in an empty place with chairs, and that feeling and that emotion that you have before you're about to do something big.
Right.
Right? So that was the feeling. So it was cool because it connected to the feeling of the book, of writing the book, because I was still maybe in, I don't know, the first 5-6 chapters when I wrote Towels.
Okay.
So it felt like a pep talk for myself, or a way to capture that energy of like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it's thrilling and terrifying and all of the things all at once.
Yeah.
And you're kind of also gauging yourself, you know, like, yeah, I got this.
Whenever I first heard the poem, it's like, oh, yeah, we're pumping ourselves up a little bit here. Because anytime you start a new project, it can be something as small as like a song or a chapter, or as big as like the full book or whatever. Anytime you sit down, there is that strange mix of anticipation. You're excited, but you're also like, I don't know what's going to happen, and this could go the way that I hope, or this could go totally opposite. Like, you just never know. And there's something about that feels so, I guess I just feel it very viscerally listening to your spoken word here. And it was exciting for me because, I don't know, I guess just for that, like, I relate to it so much on the musical side. Like, anytime I sit down to go start a new project, there's always that moment of like, ooh, okay, we're about to start something. And there's just a feeling, and it's almost always present in some way. Yeah. Yeah,
it's like an anticipation. Mm-hmm. And I like how you're pointing to uncertainty. You don't know how the match is going to end.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if you're going to quote unquote win or lose, and maybe it doesn't matter. It's really just about getting into the ring.
Right.
And showing yourself that you can create it, you can do it, you can make it, no matter what you end up creating and no matter what the outcome.
Yeah, and it does kind of, it's interesting, like, I was just thinking, like, yeah, you might get knocked the fuck out, but even that, in a sense, like, over time, you get inoculated to that. Like, I think back in the day, I used to be way more concerned with, is this song going to be good? Or is this going to do what I hope for it to do? And after so many times of working on a song and being like, I don't really like this, like, you get the knockdown so many times that over time you just, at least for me, I just stopped worrying about it. And then, funnily enough, like, I seem to get better, or at least my percentage seems better, in the sense of, like, usually when I sit down to make something with a certain intention, I can get something good out of it. But sometimes it is still getting knocked down, and sometimes that's okay too, I guess.
Well, it's funny, you know, we keep getting stronger. We go into getting, every time we step into the ring and the arena, the creative arena, our work gets stronger, we get stronger. And I think about this a lot too, in terms of, who am I to call something good or bad that I make?
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's not up to me.
Yeah.
That I just make it and hope that it comes from a place where it feels true and real for me. And then I share it. And even if I might think it's not that good, well, who am I to say that? I mean, it's really, maybe someone else has a different opinion. I think about that a lot, actually.
Yeah. That freaked me out whenever I first started to feel that way. It was about a year ago. It was a recent shift in my creativity where, like, before, everything I made, I would say, like, this is good, or this is, you know, whatever. And I began to notice that was disappearing. And, like, it was more, this is just true, this is what it is. And I remember specifically, if there was one thing that turned it, I was like, sometimes I like to play these games creatively. Like I'm like, all right, let me put up some like weird rules or some weird scenario to force myself to do this thing in a certain way. And I had this like incense stick, and I was like, I'm going to light this incense stick. I'm going to make this beat. And when the incense stick is done, I'm done with the beat. Like, that's all I get. And at the time I thought like, I'll get an hour. It was way closer to 30 minutes. And so as the incense stick is burning and I'm making this beat, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh shit, it's going way faster than I thought. This is not good. And I became a bit manic, I would say. And by the time I get done with the beat, it sounds like that. It sounds like a madman or something. And I remember posting it and I hated it. Like I really didn't like it because I don't know. I just didn't like the feeling. I didn't like the emotion. I didn't like the way it sounded. Like it wasn't what I expected to make. And someone commented like, it sounds like the mind of a manic person. It's cool. And I was just like, ugh. But it taught me that. It taught me that idea of like, I can't really judge it. At that time, I was like, that's probably one of the truest things I've made, because it definitely, I was in that manic space and I was really concerned and worried. It felt like the world was ending. And if you listen back to it, it sounds like that. And yeah, it taught me that lesson. I think I love to hear that you have that idea too. It's not that I don't make things and then go like, yeah, I like that. Like I do, but I don't really judge it as being good or bad. I think I like that is that feels true.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a really powerful question. Like, that feels true to me.
Yeah.
And then let the good or bad fall to the wayside, you know? And to me, that's like winning or losing.
Right.
Same when you're about to get into the ring. Like, maybe that's not what matters.
It's funny.
Maybe it just matters that you show up.
Yeah.
You're in the arena. Because it's that anticipation, like the day before, the night before you're about to jump in, that you feel it the most. And you feel that nervous excitement, and you feel it.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to do it anyway because it matters to you.
Yeah. It's, now that I think of that beat that I was talking about, it's really strange how it has a lot of similarities with the beat for Towels.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Well, tell me more about the making of the music.
Okay. So it was one of the first ones. I remember that I was in my space, a town over in Lake City. I had a little studio set up there at the time. And I remember being over there, and I was working on the first version of Hungry, which we talked about and played in last week's episode. And then I was working on Towels. And what was funny about the first version of Hungry is we mentioned that it wasn't hungry enough. It wasn't bombastic enough. And it was actually Towels that I feel like showed me how far we could push the like hip hop thing. Cause it's like 808, like doom. It's really bumping, and I wasn't sure that, even though we had talked about it and you had heard my beats that I had made before and you're like, I want that. I was like, but do you really want that? Like, are you sure you want that? And I guess it was Towels that showed me, yeah, you do want that. And I remember making it. Do you have the vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Read me your vibe.
I do. All right. Towels. Hip-hop inspired beats. She's prepping to get into the ring, so there's a rise in mood from uncertainty to readiness. The fighter's dawn, shoulders rolling into ready. Hip-hop beats with raw grit underneath a polished flow. Training room echoes. Low-key determination rises like steam. The calm inhale before the bell.
Cool. Yeah. It definitely has that. You said the calm inhale before the bell. To me, that's like the way that it sort of just like anchors around the same thing the entire time. Like there's not a whole lot of movement. There is some flow, like it builds and it comes down, but like it doesn't move. There are not multiple sections. It's very static. I remember the first thing that I wrote for it was there's this synth thing. It actually starts the song and it plays throughout. It's like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I remember just like sitting at my keyboard, and sometimes I'll just put my hands down and dick around. And the first thing that sounds interesting, I'm like, well, that sounds interesting. Like maybe I'll do something with that. And that came. And so I knew the tempo and I knew the key based off that, but I had no idea what the drums would do. And I remember going on a walk, which you and I have talked about, like walking while working. And I find that it like frees my mind up and I come up with so many ideas. And I was listening to the first Run the Jewels album, and there was this song, and it's not the same rhythm at all, but there was this song called Get It. And I remember that. And I remember being like, this feels kind of like the energy, because it does stay anchored around just kind of one rhythmic pattern. And so I came back and laid the drum beat, and then the rest of the instrumentation came together pretty fast. And I sent it to you, and you're like, that's Towels. And there was some more stuff added later that we could talk about later, but that was the first one that we were like, yeah, that's it. And I just remember loving the way your vocal sounded on top of it. And we've talked about how all your vocal performances were recorded prior to the music. And there was just something about the way that it sounded. It just was right with the music. I love it. There's the fluorescent Lycra, the way you say that, and the way, just the tone, and maybe the way that I mix the vocals, because I know you were very helpful with that too, like getting just the right tone, like not too bright, not too dark. Yeah. Something about it just feels very right. So yeah, I don't know. It came together pretty quick, and it's also the shortest track too, because sometimes...
Is it? I thought RSVP was the shortest.
Towels is the shortest by quite a bit. It's 1:11. And
really?
It is. And the reason why, this is something that we haven't talked about yet, even outside of the podcast. When I was first starting working on the album, I had this approach of like, I put your poem in and I begin scoring it, writing it right at the beginning. And then when your poem was done, I was like, the song is done. And it wasn't until maybe it was RSVP, because that came maybe fourth or fifth in terms of just the way that we did it, that I went, wait a minute, her poem can end, but I can keep going. Like, it doesn't have to be the music starts at the same exact time, which I mean now is obvious, of course, but I'm just, for whatever reason, that was the mindset that I was in. So Towels is one, because almost all the songs ended up being more like what I was describing, where the music might go on after.
That was your incense.
What's that?
That was your incense.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Now, do you know when you said like the incense was your yardstick for how long?
Oh,
the song
yeah.
It was like the poem was your incense.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so like it was like that. And in Towels, it's the one song, maybe not the one, there might be a couple more where they sort of end together in the music. But yeah, I just didn't give myself the permission to go further yet. And so the song literally starts with the da 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 da, and then you like do the Towels intro, and then we go in, and then it ends very abruptly along with your poem. So it's like your shortest poem. And because I didn't go further, RSVP may have been shorter in terms of your poem.
Yeah.
But because I added like a 30-second intro and a minute-long outro, it ended up being like 2.5 minutes. So yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was an interesting way of doing it at first, of just like, I just make it as long as the poem is. And this one just happened to stay that way.
That's really interesting. I didn't really reflect on that.
Me neither. Not until later.
Because like technically it's a longer poem.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Yeah. Well, I love that you captured the anticipation, and then sort of that rise is like, you know, that moment is on its way. It's coming soon, where you're going to have to, you know, put on the gloves, or do whatever you need to do to get into the creative ring.
Yeah.
And then I like how you added that ESPN.
That's what I like to call it. It's like this like portamento synth, where the synth just kind of goes bzzz, and it just kind of like ascends. Yeah. Towels, it's like ESPN vibe, and you hear that in like sports clips or in trailers and things like that. And it's just one of my favorite effects, is when the synthesizer will just rise like that. And so yeah, we were able to put that in. It just added a little something. It almost felt like the stakes were getting a little bit bigger. We're getting a little bit closer. And so,
we're getting closer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it was fun to talk about those things with you as we were making it. Like, oh, what's the siren thing happening?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but that's used often in sports, and it's a way of signaling, like, you know, action is
the
about
ramping
to
of energy.
Yeah, and so it was fun. Definitely.
There were several of these moments, and like it was what I really enjoyed about working with you as a non-musician, technically, like that you had so many interesting questions about like what's going on here and what's happening with this. And I don't know, I always appreciated being able to go into those things and those ideas. And yeah, that is one of those instances, I guess. The part of the poem that I love probably the most is just the end, is the way that, and we've talked about this some, where for the most part, I left your spoken word untouched. Like I didn't go in and chop you up a lot, and we didn't go back and re-record over the music. And it just sort of had a natural flow. I just trusted that things would be right. And if something felt off, I would nudge, but for the most part, things just flowed. But the end was one of those moments where cutting it to like, what's the last few words of the poem? Unsure about what's coming next. Da, 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 da. Like there's just something about that just felt so cool to orchestrate and to just drop down to just the vocals before this like really fast like outro, and then it's done. I don't know, something about that just always felt so good to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's funny that you say you bring back the end, like what's coming next. Mm-hmm. We never really know what the outcome of what we're going to create is.
Yeah.
And so we might feel like throwing in the towel, but we're the creatives. We wear them around our necks instead.
Yeah.
No matter what the outcome might be. I just like how you made the music reflect that as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because like we talked about this with Hungry. Like you never know where you would quote unquote give up traditionally. Like, oh, like just to reference that again, because we just talked about it last week, it would have been very easy to be like, oh, well, the version of Hungry I made didn't work for Pia, so it must be bad. So, oh man, but it's like, I don't know what's coming next. And like, it's often whenever you jump into that and you're not so concerned about it, I guess, that it ends up being awesome. I feel like that's always what happens. So yeah, it resonated with me in that sense of like, you don't know what's coming, but often when you just go anyways, cool things happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like that.
Well, you can be proud of yourself for getting in the ring.
Yeah, at the very least.
You know? And I think that's the most important thing that you can do. To show up.
Mm-hmm.
Put that towel around your neck and show up. Get ready and create things. And also get ready to launch it and release it into the world.
Yeah.
No matter what may come. No matter roses or tomatoes that are thrown your way.
I love that you say that. It feels so good.
Yeah, well, I remember when I did coaching certification years ago, I did a visualization and I kept getting that image of being on stage and being okay to be on stage no matter what was thrown my way.
Right.
Because it wasn't about getting the roses or getting splattered with tomatoes or getting heckled by people in the front row or getting cheered or standing applause. It wasn't about any of those things. It was just a matter of being brave to show up on stage, be seen, share my work in order to make an impact in the world in some way. And that felt more important to me than how it might be received.
Yeah.
Good or bad. And it's funny because I feel some of that's also reflected in towels.
Yeah, for sure.
Poem, because that's really the energy of it. It's like getting ready, and the fact that you're here and you're about to show up and you're about to do the thing, create the thing, and share it. Also sharing the making of, in a way, this is very much reflective of the poem because it's
Absolutely.
like showing how you did it, or all of the stuff, all the things, all the parts of creation is, to me, you've already won.
Yeah. And we're not doing it for the roses or the tomatoes. And once you like come to grips with that, in one sense, I remember thinking one time about the fact that anytime I've ever made anything that I've enjoyed making, some of the things might have been more successful. Maybe it got 1 million views, or something else maybe got no views. Like I've literally had been on both sides of that. And I don't know that it feels any different when I'm making it. Actually, I do know it doesn't feel any different when I'm making it. It feels just as good. And so, yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's roses or tomatoes in the end. And it's not like I don't want things to be successful, especially if it can make a little money and I can keep making more things. Like, yeah, of course, like I like that. But at the end of the day, that's not why I'm making it. We've talked about this before. It's like we're making these things because we like making these things. That's why we do it. And I don't know, there's something about...
And to share it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna add that.
and I like to share it.
Because we could make these things and not share them with anyone, right? And so I think, to me, there's a bigger desire of making things in order to have some kind of connection or impact with people in the world. And that requires you to step into the ring.
Yes.
Right? It's really that part.
It's almost like two parts in a sense, because it's like a challenge to make things, and it's also a challenge to be vulnerable enough to share things.
Yes.
But I'm like you, where I'm compelled to share it. I don't necessarily know why or where it comes from, but like maybe I've thought about it before. So many people have shared so many things with me that have helped me. It would be very selfish for me to not offer back the things that I'm making. It just feels like that. It's that simple. It's like, well, you know, I listened to that Kendrick Lamar record and I love the beats that Pharrell made. And so I'm so grateful. So it helped me so much. So why would I not do the same? Again, regardless of the roses or regardless of the tomatoes, it doesn't matter. It's still the same thing compelling me. Like, it's my offering back up to 21 grams. Like,
exactly.
It's just
it takes courage to do that. That's what takes courage. And that's what really Towels is all about, is the courage to step into the ring. Not only to make the thing, but to share the thing you're making. Because she's visible. That boxer, the metaphor of that boxer, she's going to be visible. There's going to be a bunch of people staring at her.
Yeah.
And she needs to be all right with that.
Yeah.
And as creatives who want to make a difference in the world, who want to share the work, hoping to want to be generous and give back for whatever the reasons are, who are sharing, we got to build our strength and capacity to be able to be seen and to be able to dodge tomatoes or accept roses.
Yeah. Because it is uncomfortable. I know I was like doing this one project, and it was very early on, and it's just something I had to learn, and it was like a muscle that I had to grow. But someone was like, "What is Tyler doing?" And I remember back then I was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" And like now it's just like, I guess I'm just expressing myself as clearly as I possibly can in any given moment, and then I'm just sharing it in hopes that it might be helpful, but. I don't know. I guess that's what I'm doing. And now I've just gotten used to it. I'll put something out and it's just like, this might seem weird to other people, but it's just me and I just want to share, and maybe you get something out of it and maybe you don't. And that's it. Like, I don't know. And now it doesn't bother me as much. I think, do you feel that way? Like, do you feel like the muscle gets strengthened the more you create, the more you share? Like, are you feeling more and more comfortable with it?
Definitely, but I do think, like most things in life, there is a leveling up at some point. You get comfortable at a certain stage of visibility, and then you maybe become even more visible, and then it's like, then you got to get back into the gym, and start training again because it's even more visibility. So I kind of feel that, like most things in life, it's a practice. Right? Like, yes, I am more comfortable, but the bigger the arena.
Yes.
Then I have to keep, lifting them visibility weights.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter, roses or tomatoes. What matters is I show up from a true place with an intention to give and share.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I can do.
It's interesting because there's even like different level. You're talking about like the levels and the amount of visibility, and sometimes it's not always even about numbers. But like, for instance, on this project, technically, I feel like you have more visibility than I do because it's your name on the project. Like, we created it together, but I'm just thinking about like a friend that I used to produce music with. If something got 1 million views, my face wasn't on it. I wasn't actually exposing me necessarily to that many people. But if I do something for my project, even if it only gets 100 views, but my face is on it, that's almost more vulnerable in a sense, even though less people got it. So it's not always about the numbers sometimes. It's almost just more about just how connected to the project you might be or how visible you might be connected to it. I don't know. There's lots of different layers to it.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, for me, it just happens to correlate with numbers at the moment. Like the more I'm seen, then it's like, but it doesn't matter, and you get stronger, and you keep getting stronger. That's the whole point. You got to start. You got to start with your first match.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about some of the imagery in the poem, because I feel like you were telling me before that there's some real world truth behind this with the Vaseline going on, and you want to talk about that some?
Yeah, sure. It was interesting because you were talking about, like, I'm not even sure what fluorescent Lycra is, but I like the sound.
Yeah.
It was like, it's just like, it's like kind of like a onesie, like a tight tracksuit. Just think of it like that, stretchy fabric. And then when I was in high school, I went to a few different high schools, but one of them was actually a rougher one. And I remember when girls used to get ready to fight in the schoolyard or whatever, and then they would take Vaseline and like put it on their face and take off their earrings so that, when people punched them, they would kind of slide right off. And it was just, I had that strange memory in my mind of like, okay, like we're getting ready, we're going. And that kind of popped into the poem. It's funny. It reminds me of something one of my professors said years ago in college. He said, my English professor, that there's no such thing as fiction. It's all nonfiction. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I mean, an extreme statement, but it's to say like, the writer always takes parts of themselves in their lives and like kind of stitches it together, even though it might seem like a fictitious world.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of it. It's like, it's like memories. And I almost forgot that memory until I was writing Towels. Like, and that just popped up. It's like, oh yeah, like she's getting ready. And what is she doing when she go? Oh, I remember what girls used to do.
Yeah.
They were getting ready to throw down. So
I love that.
That was a funny one. But I was really, again, trying to capture that anticipation and that excitement and the thrill, and also feeling scared too at the same time. Like, holy fuck shit, like I'm about to do this thing,
it reminds me of like the way you're describing it's like a ritual. And I think about like my rituals that I do before being creative. Like I always make a cup of coffee, pour over before I work on music or do anything. I'm usually got my cup of coffee as I get started. Do you have a ritual that you might go through before going into your creativity? What's a ritual? Leave us with a ritual.
I'm not slathering Vaseline on
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. Meditation in the morning really just like sets the tone for the whole day, so that grounds me. And I like to create in the morning. That's prime time for me.
Same.
And also I think it signals something. Like usually if you do the very most important thing first, I don't know, just like a signal, like this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And so meditation, sometimes I'll journal just to capture, just like free write, to like get all the stuff out and meet myself, how I'm feeling, what's going on, and just like free write. And then I'll have breakfast, and then I'll make a cup of matcha latte. The whole little ritual around making a matcha latte, and then sit at my desk and play some tracks that don't have any vocals, because that competes with what I'm trying to write, and then get to it. And usually if I can do that for 2 hours, I'm happy. Just like the first 2 hours of the day. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. It really depends. But it could be easy to be pulled to the to-do list, or like a lot of other things life offers. So that's why I think the mornings for me are like the golden hours, prime time. Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I have a similar thing, the meditation and then the cup of coffee, which kind of like pieces me out and then brings me back up. And then I make towels, I guess.
There you go. Then you make towels. Well, without any further ado, maybe we should share the track.
Towels are not thrown, but worn around necks. A poem for those entering the arena. She knocks her Jordans against the ring. Dust sparkles in the air, revealing purple and yellow leopard print before stepping into the squared circle. It's eerily quiet. All peanut shells and empty Gatorade bottles, vacant seats and white towels, the faint smell of pine, a rusted chair lonely in the corner. Soon, the spotlights will blind her. She'll stand in fluorescent Lycra, aqua net keeping her together, face smeared with Vaseline, gold hoops catching the light and winking at the crowd. She leans against the ropes, heavy with hope, picks at the skin of her thumb. Sweat trickles down her spine, her temple vein beats to her drum, unsure, uncertain about what's coming next.